Hello and welcome to today's masterclass, How to Work with Your Fat Cells. I am your host, Destiny, and I am so happy you are here. Today, we are covering a lot. It is going to be jam-packed with so much juicy information, so I hope you came prepared to take notes. In today's masterclass, I hope it is a breath of fresh air, some weight off of your shoulders, and your guide to working smarter and not harder when it comes to your health and fitness. So without further ado, let's dive in. If you haven't done so already, find a nice, comfortable space and make the decision to invest your energy here. I know you signed up for this masterclass for a reason. There's going to be so many golden nuggets. I don't want you to miss a thing. So silence distractions and truly make that decision to invest your energy here and take away from this masterclass what you signed up to receive. So you might be wondering, is this training really for me? Is this truly worth the next hour of my time? Well, you've come to the right place if you have stubborn fat, 5 to 20 pounds that just won't budge, and you're ready for a solution that isn't another strict food rule diet, or you've been on what feels like a never-ending cycle of weight loss and weight gain, and you're ready to break the cycle for real, maintainable health, or you want to banish bloat, reclaim your energy, and build lean muscle mass in a way that's enjoyable and actually fits in with your busy life. And lastly, and probably most importantly, you're ready for clarity because you know understanding your beautiful body better will explode your confidence. Hi, again, my name is Destiny, and before we get into the good stuff, I want to quickly tell you about my story, what led me here, and why I am so deeply passionate about today's topic. I'm a mom of 2, wife, and women's fitness and nutrition expert, and for the last decade, I've been working in the health field, educating others on the tools available to optimize their health. But this definitely hasn't always been my story. Growing up, I had zero clarity in health, and I struggled a lot with my confidence. I turned to food for comfort, but when I started gaining weight, I became super insecure. And I was already an introverted kid. I was super shy of large crowds. And when I started developing this negative relationship with food and body weight, I began really picking myself apart in the mirror, and it absolutely impacted my confidence. So I did what I saw other women doing. I saw my mom on Weight Watchers, and this looked like the thing that you must do in order to be healthy. So I started looking at food as numbers. In high school, though, I started developing debilitating stomach issues. I was bloated more often than not, and painful cystic acne was my norm. When counting calories didn't work, then I tried cutting out dairy. When that didn't work, I tried cutting out red meat. And when that didn't work, I cut out meat altogether. Vegan, paleo, keto, intermittent fasting, every diet out there I have tried. Juicing cleanses, detox teas, you name it, I looked and looked for my solution. Each time I failed a diet, my inner voice didn't let it go. It was like I had failed something so massive. And with every diet I tried, my relationship with food became more and more negative. And so did my relationship with myself. Thin wasn't thin enough, strong wasn't strong enough, and frankly, good didn't feel good enough. I would love to tell you that the journey struggling with food, my thoughts, and myself was a short one, but for years I jumped from diet to diet looking for the magic solution. And it wasn't until I became a mom that I had this aha moment, my line in the sand moment. And I realized that this narrative no longer just affected me, it would soon be one my daughter heard and felt if I continued. And I was exhausted. I was working so hard, sticking to the diet rules, staying disciplined, and I was caught up in this constant cycle of negativity. And it was impacting my business as well as my relationships, and enough was finally enough. So I ditched diet culture. More importantly, I ditched the diet culture habits disguised as healthy for so long, actually keeping me stuck, and something amazing happened. I started doing less, and you can imagine as a mom how amazing this was, how relieving this was, with more aligned intention, and I could feel and see the difference. I have been fascinated with the human body for as long as I can remember. My interest in how we operate led me to receive my bachelor's degree in neuroscience and behavior. I became a behavior analyst, later going on to get my license as a health insurance advisor. After 3 years as an advisor, I learned that the true reality for so many people in the US is taking a cocktail of prescriptions to manage high blood pressure, thyroid issues, diabetes, gout, IBS, and so much more. And I was so lit up. I became so passionate about why. And I set off on this mission to learn everything I could about where these health issues stemmed and became a hydration specialist. For 2 years, I helped educate others on proper hydration. In the process, I became an expert in my subject matter and ultimately learned that you really can achieve true health, strong lean curves, and confidence without crazy diet food restrictions, magic pills, or detox teas. In my search to master everything about real maintainable health, I transformed my own life and impacted others along the way, which inspired my final pivot to a women's health and fitness coach. In the heart of the pandemic, I put together a program to teach my signature methodology, and that is how the Fit Foodie Method was born. And it's been an absolute honor and such a fun ride. I created today's masterclass because I know what it feels like to be exhausted, doing all of the things, working so hard at your health and fitness, to feel like you missed the mark and somehow can't figure it out. My hope today is to save you time and energy along your journey and finally bring you the results that you've been desiring, working smarter, not harder. Dare I say, with a lot more ease. If you've been dreaming of a way to burn stubborn fat, build muscle, and banish bloat without tracking or weighing your meals, counting calories, or spending an hour plus at the gym every day, and you feel like that just seems too good to be true, you're going to love this training. If you want this, like you aren't even trying, this training is for you. For the last 2 and counting years, I've been helping women break free from the disheartening cycle of diet culture and achieve all their health and fitness goals. But today, post-pandemic, with the rise of technology, there's been new challenges, and it's time to add some new tools to your tool belt, baby. Today, you're going to learn why most diets have failed you, and why taking a calorie-centric approach to fat loss doesn't work in the long run. Then we will uncover the shocking way your body actually burns fat for fuel, how your fat is vital, and the specific type of fat you're targeting when it comes to excess or stubborn fat. Then we will dive into the 3 fat loss essentials and where to start today. Make sure to stay until the end to unlock your 4-week plan of action, as well as the special money-saving offer. Okay, we are ready to start. Grab a pen, some paper, get ready to take notes. Let's dive in. The rise of the calorie. This is where my journey with dieting began with Weight Watchers and the strategy I see majority of women using when it comes to the goal of weight loss. But before the 1800s, people were doing just fine without her. Everything changed though in 1918 when physician Lulu Hunt Peters published a revolutionary book at the time in the New Science of Nutrition called Diet and Health with the Key to the Calories. It sold over 2 million copies, which in 1918, that's an ish ton. They didn't have Audible or Amazon. It was a different time, so this was huge. And it pushed a change in society's beliefs about food, but not for the better. In fact, the calorie was not even invented for food science. It was invented for physics, so it was being used in a completely different way. Before the rise of the calorie, we used a different tool to understand nutrition: flavor. It was simple and time-tested, but as food science grew, so did our food, and so did marketing. Now, 100 years later, the calorie is still standing tall, and many diets have been created with this idea that we need rules in place in order to live a healthy life, specifically to lose weight. But let's take a look at the stats at where the calorie-restricted approach has actually taken us. On average, women try 3 diets a year for 34 years of her life from the ages 20 to 59. Studies show that diets do not lead to permanent weight loss for over 95% of people who go on them. Dieting leads to repeated cycles of weight loss and weight gain, known as weight cycling, which has been shown to lead to increased cardiovascular issues. Research shows, on average, people who diet only maintain their weight loss for 5 years before gaining the weight back, often gaining more weight than they lost to begin with. 75% of women between the ages of 24 and 45 report having disordered eating behaviors. For decades, Western culture has pushed this narrative to define what the ideal body is, with terms like thin, small, or skinny. The influence of this narrative is sneaky, but everywhere. And with the weight loss industry bringing in $60 to $70 billion annually, it's no surprise that women have been affected one way or multiple at some point in her life. But really quick, just let those statistics truly sink in and picture any other business being able to run off of this model, bringing in $60 to $70 billion, only providing a mere 5% success rate. It's insanity, yet it exists for the dieting industry. It is truly a marketing distraction from what actually guarantees long-term fat loss. So although the calorie is the current accepted unit we have for measuring the energy in food, if you have been feeling totally overwhelmed, confused, and frustrated using any type of calorie restrictive strategy to your goals of burning fat and building muscle, you are not alone. And there's a few different gaps right off the bat that make this strategy completely miss the mark. There are several game-changing factors that determine what your body actually does with the calories you eat, which is going to be way more impactful on whether your body stores or releases fat than this oversimplified formula of counting calories. This formula of counting calories doesn't account for the complexity of digestion, the food itself, or the makeup of your microbiome, which is completely unique to you, just like a fingerprint. So we have this idea that we should just be able to count calories and achieve our goals. But when that doesn't work, we start to think that fat is the enemy. And fat's got a bad rep. She needs a new PR person because fat is literally what holds our cells together. Myelin, for example, is a type of fat that wraps around the nerve fibers in your brain and allows for communication to and from your brain cells at lightning speed. Your brain is also responsible for consuming 20 to 25% of your caloric intake. Fat enables the absorption and utilization of essential nutrients like vitamin D and A. Fat supports the function of our sex hormones, regulates our body temperature, protects our bones, and plays a role at helping us ward off disease by playing a role in managing our immune system. So she's a pretty big deal. We literally would not be able to function without her. Even the thoughts that you have right now, listening to this, would not be possible without fat. Your fat is an organ. It's amazing and complex. There's many different communities of fat throughout your body, all serving an important function one way or multiple. But there's two types of cellular fat communities we're targeting when it comes to fat loss: subcutaneous fat and visceral fat. But get that old school image out of fat out of your head. You know, the one where they're like holding that yucky, giant yellow glob. No, zoom in with me and start to think about your fat as fat cells. The number of fat cells in your body will remain relatively constant throughout your lifetime. Genetically, you have a certain amount of fat cells that have been given to you, but gaining fat is actually about what's getting packed into those fat cells, which you have control in, what your fat is storing. Fat cells can store to expand their volume more than 1,000 times their normal size. So when we talk about fat loss, what we're actually talking about is burning the stored energy inside of those subcutaneous and visceral fat cells. Evolutionarily speaking, this is a huge advantage, right? But today, where we have no famine or lack, in fact, we are surrounded by food year-round, it poses a problem for many. We are overwhelmed with options. So what about restriction then, or just cut calories? Well, restriction doesn't retrain your fat cells. And researchers at the University of Yale actually studied this. They had participants that lost weight on a restrictive food diet, but what they found was they had a very difficult time actually keeping that weight off because those fat cells had become so accustomed to holding on to a lot of energy, even filling up with water to act as a placeholder, waiting for those calories to come back in, that energy, until it did. And counting calories doesn't account for your unique metabolic fingerprint. And we know this in studying twins who have the same genetic makeup. There was a really great study done by the scientists at Washington University School of Medicine. What they wanted to do was see the changes of the microbiome and if it could affect fat loss in sets of identical twins. What they discovered is that if one twin had a higher ratio of more opportunistic bacteria and a lower amount of beneficial bacteria, they absorbed more calories than the other twin and were more apt to gain fat while eating the exact same diet. So we know this has an effect, and your microbiome is literally the foundation of your metabolism. In short, track and just eat less calories is an oversimplified and outdated formula. So I know you are here for a long-term solution, a long-term strategy. And I made this masterclass because there are not enough health providers talking about this, giving this information. And there's something other health and fitness coaches don't want you to know. just about any diet will work on the short term. And the reason is a few factors, but the main one I've discovered working with women one-on-one is the radical action we take when we're fed up with feeling low energy, low confidence, and we're ready for change. But this well-intentioned, it's often where the trouble actually starts because of how we've been conditioned through marketing. We believe health is hard. But what if I told you we've been taught to see hard as valuable when it comes to our health and fitness? That our food and habits as a culture have shifted so much that our health and beliefs have been sabotaged, and that our innate nutritive wisdom has been hijacked. What if our body wants to be strong, energized, healthy, and happy just as much as we do? I have exciting news. It does. And your body only has one request in order to give you the body and life of your dreams: safety. So how do you safeguard your fat cells from storing calories a bit longer than you'd like? You nourish your body on a cellular level to restore connection, communication between your mind and body. What we've been conditioned to believe: eat to live, don't eat to live. If it's delicious, it must be bad for me. I need to go harder at the gym. I need to have more self-discipline. What is actually true? Food is medicine meant to be enjoyed. Flavor is vital nutritive feedback. You want to exercise smarter, and you want to have more self-awareness. So let this be great news. Food is meant to be enjoyable, and so is the journey to optimal health. Deliciousness is the special sauce, and you have an innate nutritive wisdom inside you. To sum it up, the number one thing sabotaging your fitness success right now is stress. Physical, chemical, and emotional stress. And it has the ability to control your metabolic switches. Again, whether to be fat storing or fat burning. And in short, the number one thing that will enhance your fitness success right now: nourishment. Nourishment physically, chemically, and emotionally. So get ready. We are about to uncover the exact areas asking for your attention that will be transformative for your fitness. So if you don't know already, I am a huge fan of reverse engineering and biohacking. So before we can dive into the solution, let's identify the biggest hitters of fat growth and ultimately a sluggish metabolism. Number one, inflammation, microbiome mayhem, liver damage caused by alcohol overload, unbalanced meals, too many medications, too many supplements or toxicants, hormone dysfunction, dehydration, lack of quality sleep, and appetite dysregulation, skipping meals and dieting. And this brings us to fat loss essential number one, supporting your microbiome. And in order to support your microbiome best, you want to include a diversity in your food. Forget the old school model of chicken, broccoli, rice on repeat. One, that's so boring, but it's also not necessary to actually reach your health goals. Including a diversity in your food, eating with the seasons is the best way to do this. Also including prebiotics and probiotics in the form of food. Food first. I'm a big fan of a food first approach versus supplementation. Right now, probiotics are getting a big push, but truly, it's hard to actually tell if the probiotics inside the bottles are truly alive once they actually make it to us, and the ratios, if it's the ratios of the bacteria we truly need. So taking a living food first approach is actually going to be way more beneficial in supporting your microbiome. Prioritizing quality sleep. Key word: quality. It is not enough to just get 7 to 8 hours if it is not truly quality sleep. Also, less supplements, more real whole foods. The more whole foods you can prioritize into your meals, the more your microbiome will flourish and the smoother your metabolism will be. In fact, there was a really good study done on this where they had participants eat 2 different versions of a sandwich. So one had a sandwich that was multigrain bread and cheddar cheese, which they deemed whole food, versus a sandwich made of white bread and a cheese product, which they deemed processed food. What they did was took everything into account. So these were healthy participants, and really these sandwiches contained the same amount of protein, carbs, and fats. But what they found after eating the meal was that the participants that ate the more processed food version of the sandwich actually had a 50% reduction in the calories burned. So you can imagine then doing what you can, where you can, eating more whole foods, the impact that it's going to make. And lastly, cook your cruciferous veggies. Now, if you hate salads, this is going to be the greatest news ever, because if you're anything like myself, for years, I forced myself to eat salads every day, to eat so many raw vegetables, because I thought that's what I needed to do in order to achieve lean curves, so toned abs, and truly be healthy. But that's actually not the case. Now, including a diversity in vegetables is wonderful, and it's been proven that crucifers, which is this group of vegetables that includes broccoli, arugula, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, kale, mustard greens, radishes, rutabagas, and turnips, do reduce the risk of cancers. However, eating them raw actually poses potential problems, because if the body can't break them down and absorb their nutrients, it can become really problematic. And they've seen that this can actually inhibit the uptake of iodine into the thyroid and mammary glands, which is very important. And this can cause different types of issues and feeling fatigue, cold, constipation, and even slowing your metabolism. So what we want to do is simply cook them, so that way they become more bioavailable, that we can actually absorb their nutrients. So if you've been experiencing painful bloat, you're definitely going to want to tune into this. Enjoy veggies like carrots, cucumbers, and peppers raw, but aim to cook your cruciferous veggies as well as your dark leafy greens. And if you're like, wait, I love coleslaw, me too, that is totally fine, but make sure to chew slowly to better help with digestion. And this brings us to fat loss essential number 2. Mindful macros, including quality protein. And I have this listed first because taking a protein forward approach, making that the star, as well as including quality carbohydrates and quality fats, including them together for a balanced meal, including hydration and electrolytes, and eating those balanced meals every 3 to 4 hours. So we've already covered why taking this calorie-centric approach to eating misses the mark and doesn't account for several game-changing factors. But I have a mindset shift for you. Instead of looking at calories, I want you to shift your mindset to looking at nutrients. How nutrient dense is that food? This is why quality truly matters, the quality of the calories. In fat loss essential number 3, happy hormones. This truly is essential. And this includes brief intentional movement, eating with the sun. So eating with the time frame of when the sun rises and eating shortly after or before it sets, including micronutrients as well as minerals. So think fruit, organ meats, bone broths, grass-fed dairy, seeds, oysters, chocolate, yes, chocolate, starchy veggies, coffee, green and black tea, spices like turmeric, ginger, salt, and MCTs. Now, we obviously covered a lot, and I truly wish we had more time today to go into each of these essentials a bit more. However, what I want you to take away from this training is that you don't need to be doing all of the things all at once to truly see results quickly. In fact, this is why the current fitness and education system leaves so many women with short-term results. Because as I mentioned earlier in the training, for majority of women, the trouble starts when we're so ready for change. We commit ourselves to doing all of the things all at once, taking radical action. But radical action in the form of self-discipline can leave out something very valuable: self-awareness. Self-awareness itself is a transformative tool, and it's the tool that allows you to work smarter, not harder. Yet so many fitness coaches neglect this. But what you're starting to learn is that many different factors contribute to how well our fat cells release energy. And a huge reason that cookie cutter diets do not work long term is bio-individuality. And in addition to that, radical self-discipline without any intention or awareness is likely to lead to burnout. And if a strategy isn't actually sustainable, is it truly successful? What we're about to uncover, though, is a strategy that stands the test of time and trends. It is the areas that require your attention first, and if implemented, will give you the greatest transformation in your body composition, energy, focus, and mood. Bonus, This strategy is simple, and simple is sustainable. When you choose to start here, you build the foundation. And you know what they say about a house with good bones? Well, the same is true for this approach. When you implement this strategy and you build your foundation, you create a positive ripple effect that affects all areas of your life. Okay, we have the buildup. You are ready. Where do you start? Well, if stress is the number one thing that will sabotage your success, and your body's only request is safety, and that nourishment restores the connection and communication between your mind and body in safeguarding your fat cells, the first place you start is your brain. With your thoughts. Your thoughts mold your behavior. So as we covered, the gut is a big deal. It's accurately called your second brain for a reason, but it is second. Before you dive into any of these fat loss essentials, you start with observing your language. How do you speak to and about yourself? If your beautiful brain uses 20 to 25% of your caloric fuel, and your current self-talk is anything disempowering, you're literally wasting your own precious energy focusing more on what you don't want and don't like than what you do. Now, we are all energetic beings, right? And not to get all woo on you, but this is important. This impacts your frequency. Your brain is so wildly intelligent. You are so wildly intelligent and capable. If your language is not empowering and your language doesn't actually match the frequency of your desires, how can you expect any positive change to happen? How can you expect the magic to come in? You are a magnet. You have to align your frequency. So today, decide that this journey is going to be enjoyable. It can be easy. It does not have to be hard. That is a belief we cling to. You've already done it the hard way. So truly, what do you have to lose, right? Speak empowering language. Choose today to stop saying, I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to get healthy. I'm trying to get fit. And instead say, I am healthy. The person you are stepping into, that woman, she wouldn't say I'm trying. She would say I am, right? So I know that there's resistance there. Trust me, this doesn't feel natural at first, but give yourself permission to try. And to speak empowering language, give that power back to yourself and watch the magic unfold. Now, we need the best support system possible. Where do you get that? With food. Now, again, I want to preface, I did not grow up looking at food in all the way that I do today. I wasn't taught the awesomeness, deliciousness, and medicine that real food is. So I went and I found it because I was tired of feeling stressed around food. I was tired of feeling anxious looking at a menu, avoiding social situations, not enjoying an appetizer on date night. I was tired of feeling like I failed and binge eating when I didn't feel in control. What started this shift to food freedom was finally asking myself one liberating question. Who do I want to be as an eater? So if you don't consider yourself a foodie yet, you are definitely not alone. It wasn't that long ago that I would have said, no, I am not a foodie either. In fact, I interviewed 28 different women before creating the Fit Foodie method. And I asked them this question, if they considered themselves a foodie. And the majority answered no. And I found this super interesting and I dug into this so much deeper. And it is why I called my program the Fit Foodie method. Because that's what I wanted. I wanted to enjoy food. Ironically, letting myself out of the box of restriction or I have to do this, I have to eat this, helped heal my relationship with food and discover balance. Today, I eat more healthily because I choose to, not because I have to. So, who do you want to be as an eater? Ask yourself that question. The choice truly is yours. But beware, asking yourself this question, more so liberating yourself from restriction, feels so damn good. Don't say I didn't warn you. As you're on this journey, bridging the gap between brain and body, strengthening that communication to help your bod operate its best. There are a few culprits that you should know about blurring the foodie lines of communication that we have normalized as a culture. Flavor manipulation, artificial ingredients, enrichment, inflammatory oils, preservatives, toxicants like pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides, as well as excess sugar. Sugar in such high doses that is far more than what we need to function best, as well as sugar outside of its natural form like sugar alcohol, so highly manipulated forms of sugar. Now, I'm not going to cover all of these, but I do want to cover flavor manipulation and truly the rise of flavor manipulation, because it wasn't that long ago that in order to taste a taco, you had to eat a taco. Up until the 1950s, we didn't have the technology to make foods taste like something else, like strawberries or peaches. But was tampering with flavor a good idea? This shift in mass flavor production started with Frito-Lay when their lead marketing executive, Arch West, wanted to market the next best thing. In the early 1950s, he took a vacation with his family to Southern California, and he decided to stop at a little Mexican restaurant off the highway when he had for the first time a tortilla chip. He was convinced this would be the next big snack, so he pitched the idea back to Frito-Lay, but they weren't convinced. They already had the Frito, which was like the same thing, a corn chip, but just with a slightly different shape. But he didn't lose interest. He started funding the project himself, and one of the things that they noted was that the chip sounded Mexican, but it didn't taste Mexican. So he used the latest food science to create a flavor dust that could make the chip taste like a taco. He pitched the chip back to Frito-Lay, and the rest is history. Today, there's literally no limit to artificial flavor, and natural flavor can be one of 3,000 different chemicals. We like flavor, and we're supposed to like flavor. We're supposed to enjoy flavor. Vitamins and minerals themselves, what's really interesting is they don't really actually have a flavor. This is why multivitamins are often flavored. Like you think of the Fruity Pebble, like the Flintstones vitamins and things like that, the gummies, because vitamins and minerals, either they don't have a flavor or they really don't taste very good on their own. This is why nature perfectly created juicy, ripe fruits in vibrant colors to get our attention. But that's the point. Our brain is expecting to get those nutrients when it tastes these vibrant flavors of strawberry or oranges or peaches. So what actually happens when we eat these processed foods infused with flavors that don't match what our body expects? Nutritive mismatch. Add in enrichment and it hosts a lot of different issues. And it's been shown in animal studies that the response in the brain to actually search for these vital nutrients that allows the body to properly function gets turned off. So we just stop even trying to find these nutrients in nature where these nutrients and vitamins exist. We are living in a time where obesity, digestive issues, autoimmune disorders, and chronic health issues like diabetes are in epidemic proportions. And it's not a coincidence. Our food, or what we consider today to be food, has drastically changed over the last 100 years. But there is a way to find balance. Today, eating completely from the earth is wonderful. That would be a wonderful idea in theory. However, we all live very fast-paced lives and we're living in a fast-paced culture. So completely eating from the earth all the time, would it be beneficial? Absolutely. But it's also not very realistic. So finding balance. Your balance is key. What's really helped me as well as my students in achieving true maintainable health is this: learning about food and the smarter swaps available. Looking at the nutrition label, but going past the calories and scrolling down to the bottom to look at the ingredients for the foods I want, like coffee creamer, chips, ketchup, chocolate, meat, and other snacks. Not bringing home inflammatory oils to cook with, and staying curious, even skeptical, without letting it stress me out. Stressing out about every ingredient and becoming consumed can create the same unhealthy habits that we're ultimately setting out to shift in the first place, right? What's so beautiful about this approach is not only are you supporting your fat cells and metabolism better by providing better swaps, better ingredients for your body to function its best, you are also able to eliminate restriction because you have this new clarity and confidence with food. This strengthens your relationship with food, and it also allows you to still have all of your favorite foods because there are better swaps for everything available out there. I call this eat the twin. I say eat the twin often, and this is what I'm referring to, the better swap. The more that we can swap out these foods and just provide better building blocks, the more our body is going to thank us and the better we are going to achieve our results. It's a win-win situation. With this strategy, what's also really cool that you will notice is how much less you crave the foods you once deemed bad or off limits, because you're allowing yourself choice, freedom to eat whatever you want. When you swap out for a better quality option, what happens is we are no longer being sabotaged or hijacked by flavor manipulation and artificial flavors and things like this that can, again, blur the lines of that communication. This can really hijack our craving because we are looking for nutrients. Our body wants to search for those vital nutrients and vitamins. And the more we can, again, strengthen this communication, the better setup it is mentally and physically. So when it comes to the foods that you grab for convenience, okay, of course, adding in other foods from the outer aisles of the grocery store is key. However, we are all living productive lifestyles. I understand that you have a lot to do. Anyone who says otherwise probably has a lot of help. So living a productive lifestyle calls for some convenience here and there. If you're a mom, if you are growing your career, I get it. Trust me, this is why I needed to develop a strategy that supported my body and allowed me to actually live a life that I enjoyed that wasn't stressful. Because again, regardless of the diet, if it brings on stress, if the approach is not sustainable, then it's not truly successful. So when it comes to convenience, the foods that you are grabbing at the inner aisles of the grocery store, choosing quality over calories. So looking beyond the calories and identifying foods that are nutrient dense. Also knowing what foods are nutrient empty is going to be so key in getting the results that you're after. What food freedom feels like. Total food freedom is being able to eat spontaneously and regularly with enjoyment, free from counting, measuring, weighing, tracking, second-guessing, overthinking, justifying, explaining, worrying, obsessing, hiding, sneaking, or compensating. I love this quote by Emily Fonsbeck. It wonderfully sums up exactly what food freedom feels like. And I'm proof, along with my students, that this strategy works. And it starts off as a strategy like anything else. It's something new, but becomes second nature. It becomes something that you don't even have to think about. And I love this student testimonial. I felt the biggest transformation was my mindset. I always demonized foods. I always felt like I needed to exercise to undo whatever I ate. After this program, I am at peace with myself, and I see food as nourishment, fun, and not scary. Oh, and I lost 25 pounds. No big deal. Now, let's get back to fat loss and how to support your fat cells. The areas that I mentioned require your attention first. When you give these areas your attention, it makes diving into these 3 essentials that much easier. So, have you ever wondered, where does your fat even go when you lose it? So first, it's important to know that when we're trying to lose weight, when we say we're trying to lose fat, what we are actually trying to do is metabolize the triglycerides, the tiny pockets of stored energy that mainly make up our fat cells. Again, we are trying to burn what's inside of those fat cells, composed of 3 types of atoms: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And these triglycerides can only be broken down through the process of oxidation. And as we covered, when we are targeting stubborn fat, specifically stubborn fat communities, subcutaneous fat and visceral fat, these are the types of fat that typically we are talking about on our arms, around our belly. Well, get ready to have your mind blown. This absolutely blew me away. Feel free to screenshot this if you feel like it's super valuable and you want to share, because this is the reason so many women struggle with fat loss who only take the approach of going hard at the gym, especially my cardio babes. I hear it all the time as a coach. I'm spending hours at the gym and nothing is happening. It feels like I can't lose fat to save my life. Well, for most of us, the closest perspective we have of seeing fat leave our body is through a good sweat, which is correct, but only partly. When scientists decided to follow the path of the atoms within the triglycerides leaving the body, they discovered that only 16%, approximately, of the fat you lose is through sweat and urine. So what about the other 84%, the majority? The final calculations revealed that the majority of weight loss, approximately 84% of it, happens as you breathe during a full night of sleep, and that the lungs are the primary excretory organ for fat. Isn't that unbelievable? I hope that just takes some weight off your shoulders and your waistline, knowing that you don't have to spend hours and hours at the gym. In fact, it's not necessary, even unsupportive to your fat cells, because excess exercise signals stress, which is what we want to avoid. We'll talk about the types of intentional movement you do want to include in just a moment, but let's cover another tool to add to your routine that supports this metabolic process of burning fat. Now, I know you've heard it before, hydration is important, but did you know that simply drinking an adequate amount of water promotes lipolysis? Lipolysis supports fat loss because it breaks up the glycerol backbone from the fatty chain acid inside the triglyceride. Now, what this means is it basically gets those stored contents, that energy, it breaks it up. So that way, when you have a full night's sleep and you get that quality sleep, if you are staying hydrated, this actually is supportive of the whole overall process. So lipolysis supports oxidation essentially. And this process is also going to set you up for better results when you do get your movement in. Because again, the other 16% is through a good sweat. So hydration is amazing. It is key. And it's also what allows your body to function and communicate. You literally need water to flow through, to transport nutrients and flush out toxins. Staying hydrated throughout the day is definitely the goal, but I have a tactical tip for you that you can start doing tomorrow morning that sets your day up for success, and it will encourage you to get more water in throughout the day because you are feeling more vibrant, you are feeling more energized, because dehydration is the number one nutritive trigger for daytime fatigue. So doing this will definitely make the difference, because the longest stint that you go without any water or nutrition is while you are sleeping. And while you are sleeping, your body is hard at work restoring, and your lymphatic system in your brain is working 10 times harder, repairing cells and pushing out metabolic waste. This is why your pee is so much darker when you wake up. So starting your day with water, specifically 16 ounces of water, sets your day up for success and triggers lipolysis first thing in the morning, which again, it encourages that metabolic switch to be fat burning instead of fat storing. Now, we've covered where you start, where you support, where you let go, and now where do you build? You build with movement. And when it comes to supporting your fat cells and fat loss, muscle is your BFF, and so is flexibility, your range of motion. So right now, if your current movement looks like it's the same every single day, especially very hyper-focused on cardio. If you're jumping on the Peloton every single day and you're not adding in any type of strength training, this is going to be important to consider, because just like your beautiful body thrives off eating a diversity of foods, your body thrives off of a diversity of movement to effectively build lean muscle mass and strength and flexibility, which is important because many of us work on our phones or from a laptop. Intentionally incorporating these 3 areas of movement into your weekly routine gives you freedom to move however you enjoy, because you're no longer boxed in. You can include these 3 areas in a range of different types of exercises. Inside the Fit50 method, I have 2 5-week fitness guides where I teach the way I personally incorporate these 3 areas from home with minimal equipment in 20 to 30 minutes. And I can tell you, the most important thing of all to making your fitness routine one you're finally consistent with is that you enjoy it. And I know, not what you usually hear from fitness coaches, but I'm not like other coaches. Movement is medicine. If you don't enjoy it, it likely already has an expiration date. And remember, when your body has the building blocks it needs, it feels safe, you will see and feel the difference. Nourishment over tracking. Now, we covered a lot, but to recap, where you start with your language, you support your fat cells with your food. You let go, you encourage the release of that stored energy with your sleep, getting quality sleep and hydration, and you build with your movement. Earlier in the training, I mentioned how restriction doesn't actually retrain your fat cells. In counting calories, we went in depth with this, but it doesn't actually take into consideration your unique metabolic footprint. I want you to take a look at this graphic. This is a perfect example of how your fat cell actually continues to wait for that energy to be there, even going as far as filling it with water because it is waiting for that energy to come in as calories. When you actually put this strategy in place, everything that we just covered, that we recapped just a moment ago, this actually retrains your fat cells. And this actually changes the thermostat because you've likely heard of a set weight. Well, we are ditching the scale here. We are not going after a set number on the scale, but we are going after a set feeling. When it comes to your fitness goals, lead with feeling. That is going to be number one. Number two is going to be aesthetics. That is totally normal and okay to have aesthetic goals. You are very much likely here because you also have aesthetic goals. Number three is performance. Now, changing that thermostat from what it's been for so long requires consistency. So again, going back to making it simple, incorporating these habits makes it simple so that way you can finally be consistent. When you are consistent, this is exactly what happens to those fat cells, creating a new normal, a new thermostat. Now, let me quickly introduce you to your new normal. You're able to eat plenty of delicious foods and enjoy social life. Your intentional movement is shorter and way more effective. You notice a difference without feeling drained or stuck in the gym for hours. Your body doesn't feel the need to store extra fat despite enjoying frequent, delicious meals. When you're awake, you're energized and more present with the world and the people around you. When you sleep without interruption, and your skin looks more vibrant, you are no longer bloated, and you have more patience, confidence, and a greater sex drive. Oh, yes! We all want this, right? So what keeps some people stuck, even when they know what to do? My hope is that the information in this training absolutely blew your mind, that a lot of it was new and revolutionary, but the truth is a lot of it was probably things you've already heard before. So what keeps some people stuck, that they just seem to press snooze on life? Well, the latest neuroplasticity research shows that by age 35, 95% of how we function is from a set of memorized patterns and behaviors. Rewiring your mind for success. Whether you are in the 30s club, nearing the 30s club, well into the 30s club, regardless, majority of how you are currently operating is from a set of memorized patterns and behaviors. So our thoughts alone will not change our reality. It's our beliefs, the story, and identity we cling to. If we're going to create something new, we must crave the unknown. I love Dr. Joe Dispenza, and this quote just really it sits and it really is so beautiful. In order to change our reality, we have to go from thinking to doing to being. For most people, 80 to 90% of their thoughts are the same as the day before. And if your biology, neurocircuitry, hormones, and even gene expression is equal to how you think and feel, staying exactly the same every single day, then it makes sense to say so do you. Without any change in experience, without any change in thought, without any change in your feelings, and without any change in your neuron connections, you will stay the same. So, again, we've covered a lot, but let's cover the most transformative part. How do you continue? You don't just stop at physical fitness. Yes, strengthening your physical fitness is important, but it is just one piece of the puzzle. Strengthening your emotional fitness as well as your spiritual fitness gives you the long-term transformation in your fitness that you are actually going after. And I know this because I've had multiple breaking points along my own journey. And the first started with actually getting the aesthetic I was looking for. I built up this strength by manipulating my food, but that is a different part of the story. But I reached this pinnacle that I truly thought I wanted. I had the toned abs, and when I got there, I wasn't actually happy. Then I went on to heal my relationship with food and to really heal my binge eating behaviors. But once I actually healed that, it did get me a little bit closer. However, I started developing other binge behaviors. I started binge shopping. I was reactive. I was impatient. I had all of these other negative feelings and behaviors show up. And it really made me realize that it was so much deeper that I needed to get to the root. And I started developing myself even more. The true, really aha moment came with working with my beautiful students one-on-one and having these conversations that I realized the long-term transformation, the whole puzzle is incorporating all three of these areas, strengthening all three of these areas. This is the method for actually keeping those physical fitness results. Now, I've already taken up a lot of your time today, so I'm only going to briefly go over these. Feel free to screenshot them and to pause where you'd like, but these are the areas that when you dive down into these three categories, really strengthen your overall transformation. But I want to quickly get to your 4-week plan of action, as implementation is key. So I have some homework for you. But I want you to know, if you feel that pull for more, you are not alone. I felt it. The women I work with felt it, and you absolutely are meant for more than stress or obligation or just mere discipline. You have the power today to rewrite your story. You have the power today to shift the narrative. You have the ability to finally go from thinking to doing and being, if you want to. Sign your permission slip. Okay, let's dive into your 4-week plan of action. Again, implementation is key. All of this information is useless if you don't put it into action. But of course, leading with radical self-awareness. So first, you're going to qualify your energy and create your baseline. Now, the reason you create your baseline, whether you steal my strategy here or create your own, is because if you cannot master simple consistently, not perfect, we're not aiming for perfect, but majority of the time, then you are not an energetic match for the person you are stepping into. You have to align your frequency with that of the person you are stepping into. And if you cannot master simple and do something as your baseline consistently, then you don't have the energetic capacity for more. So qualify your energy, create your baseline, and prove it to yourself that you can do this consistently, and allow that to feel so good before moving on. Only once you've qualified your energy do you move on. And again, these are falling in line with the fat loss essentials we covered earlier. Now, my recommendation would then be to identify daytime triggers. Eat nutrient-dense, balanced meals every 3 to 4 hours. Strength train for 20 minutes. Get in the kitchen and add in brain and body superfoods. Then, cook more often and eat with the sun. Swap out toxic skincare and household products. Live an active lifestyle, strength training 2 days a week, conditioning 1, walking 3, and stretching daily. Again, this is going to be dependent on your baseline and you and your capabilities and your goals. And lastly, I would add in a lymphatic drainage method. There are so many to choose from, but whatever one you can stick to consistently would be the one I choose. When you put this 4-week plan into action, you will absolutely see and feel the difference. Finally, working smarter, not harder. I cannot wait to hear about how transformative this is for you, what you notice in your energy, your skin, and your confidence. Whew! Thank you for being here today. Thank you for investing your precious time and energy. You are your greatest investment. I hope that this training was filled with so many golden nuggets that landed with you today, and a special offer as promised for staying until the end. I want to offer you $200 off my signature program, the Fit Foodie Method, when you use code MASTERCLASS at checkout. If today's masterclass really landed with you and you are ready to unlock long-term transformation in your fitness, as well as unshakable confidence any season of life, then I invite you to enroll in my 90-day women's fitness mentorship program, the Fit Foodie Method. This program teaches my signature methodology of combining neuroscience, food science, and fitness to help you master your energy and achieve your fitness goals. The Fit Foodie Method is a self-study course with one-on-one virtual access available to me daily via WhatsApp and coaching office hours once a week, currently every Wednesday. The self-study portion of the course intentionally guides you through 8 video modules of curriculum, over 50 nutrient-dense recipes, what you actually need in the kitchen, because if you can't tell already, I'm a big fan of simple, and I'm also self-taught. So I'm going to tell you what you actually need, no fluff, You're also going to gain immediate access to my vault of strengthening and conditioning workouts, as well as learn the proven mindset and productivity tools to get more done in less time. And you're also going to get your hormonal health blueprint to help you optimize your cycle and optimize your life, and so much more. Inside the Fit50 method, we dive straight into eliminating the current habits and routines that are not serving you to replace them with exciting, sustainable ones that do. We will also identify current triggers and learn how to use them to your advantage. Next, we rewrite. We uncover the sneaky, deceptive layers of diet culture that have been knocking you off your game and learn about how food impacts your body on a biological level. This is cellular health. We take it from the very, very root. And you learn how to eat intuitively and apply sensible nutrition without stressful calorie tracking, weighing, food logging, or any of that. And finally, we rewrite the current story you have around food, fitness, and yourself. Next, we put it all together and dive into creating your ultimate fitness game plan so your workouts can finally be exciting, simple, effective, intuitive, and consistent. And lastly, we grow, baby. We focus on building long-term habits by identifying the real obstacles that have held you back previously from long-term success with your health and fitness goals, and rewire your mind with strategy and proven mindset shifts to tackle procrastination, limiting beliefs, and perfectionism for good to build unshakable confidence in yourself no matter what life throws your way. This method works and is unique because I skip the fluff and I guide you step by step with what's really important in transforming your relationship with yourself, food, and fitness. And frankly, nothing lights me up more than seeing you win. I love to see you win. I believe this is so valuable because the ripple effect is a better quality of life that not only impacts you, but everyone around you, your kids, your marriage, your career, income, all of it. For the next 48 hours, you receive $200 off enrollment when you use code MASTERCLASS, taking off from the original price of $597, making your price today $397. Again, only for the next 48 hours when you use code MASTERCLASS. Once you click the link, you'll be guided to put in your information to set up your student portal with Thinkific. You will put in your secured payment. Don't forget to click on the coupon to put in your code MASTERCLASS to receive that $200 off. Then you will gain immediate access to your dashboard. This is where the 90-day transformation starts. Now, I've been very intentional in setting up the course this way. However, it is self-paced. It is totally at your own pace, and you have lifetime access. It's been so fun and wonderful hanging out with you today. I can't wait to talk with you soon. Cheers to you, beauty. I wish you nothing but the best in your fitness and life journey.